Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aditya, and today I'm going to talk about a really exciting project, CGNet Swara, which is impacting lives of thousands of people in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. So I am actually a PhD student at University of Washington, a visiting researcher at Microsoft, and have been collaborating with CGNet Swara since last couple of years. And these are the websites of two projects about which I'm going to talk in this presentation. So the first point I would like to highlight is that voice remains primary interface for mobile subscribers in India. Only 10% people of 935 million subscribers have access to smartphones, and remaining 90% people use a basic phone or a feature phone primarily to make voice calls and receive voice calls. And only 1 in 5 people have access to the internet. In addition to various device-related constraints and network-related constraints, there are more challenges like literacy and language barriers. Approximately 25% of population in India is illiterate. And those who are literate, the test for literacy is whether you can write your name or whether you can read a letter or a word or something. So many population of India is functionally illiterate. That means they don't have enough literacy skills which are required to function in a daily life, to seek employment opportunities. And like Osama mentioned today, that there are various languages like Kui, Kuru, Gondi who have millions of speakers, but there is no font support. So the question is, how do you reach out to these illiterate, semi-literate, or functionally literate population? How do you reach out to tribals who are literate, but they are literate in a language which doesn't have a font support? And that is when voice-based systems comes into picture. So interactive voice response systems have been used recently by various researchers and practitioners to collect data and provide information to marginalized communities. And they have been used in various domains, like we are seeing in this workshop, for health, education, sanitation, citizen journalism, civic engagement, and whatnot. And this opportunity is not only seen by practitioners like us, but is also explored by big organizations like Facebook, who provided a service a few years ago where people could post their status messages by a voice call as a voice message. And the next slide needs no introduction. Okay. Yeah, because voice tweets was the technology which drove the Egypt revolution. So what we are doing, so in Chhattisgarh, India, this is where the project CGNets were started. We were exploring some very basic questions. How can we improve governance for these women? How there is a right to freedom of expression, but how can we facilitate these people to actually have a right where they can speak something, where they can share whatever they are thinking with various stakeholders like government, with various departments, among themselves, and with citizens like us who are sitting in urban India. And that is when we conceived a very simple idea, yet very powerful, CGNet Swara. So the idea is very simple. A person picks up his phone and calls CGNet Swara number. What he hears is, press 1 if you want to record something, and press 2 if you want to listen to a message. And people can report news issues, various grievances which they have in local language. And then there is a fleet of moderators, approximately 7 to 10 people, who carefully listens to these recordings and take actions on them. And the actions are whether the recording is legitimate or not. So as to verify if any issue is reported from, say, for example, X village, whether this is actually an issue on the ground or not. To improve the quality of the recording, and to translate and transcribe the recording into languages like English so that it is available for global dissemination. But the most important decision which a moderator team takes is whether this recording should be published or not. And when a recording is published, that means it is accessible to everyone who can possibly call the server number and listen to these stories. So a person who is a farmer, a person who is a teacher, a student, a migrant laborer, anyone can call CGNet Swara number and not only access the information, but can also produce the information. And all these recording, all these grievances, all these news items are available on website so as it can be picked up by mainstream media organizations so that government can actually look at them and take necessary actions, and so as to generate the awareness. In addition, we have a team of activists who actually follow up on all these news and issues and see whether there can be any redressal of them. So since its launch, CGNet Swara is organically blossoming. We have received more than 4,500 audio posts, and total number of calls in the system is almost quarter to million. And every day, nowadays, we are producing 10 to 15 published stories, which is only 20% of all the data which is reported. And total number of calls which we receive is 700 to 1,000 per day. And this is the interesting part. So here is what a simple technology like this, a dedication, a devotional team can bring changes into. So one example of an impact story where a person, Pit Basu, worked as an worked for NREGA but did not get his wages. His son was in hospital. He couldn't afford the Medicare expenses, and unfortunately his son died because he couldn't get the wages. So this story was first reported here and then was picked up by various national dailies like BBC, Hindu, Times of India. And not just mainstream media organizations who are picking up stories from CGNet SWR, but various interesting information and communication technologies for development organizations like change.org picks up story of, for example, a dysfunctional borewell and get a support of more than 3,000 people and force the collector to fix the borewell as soon as possible. And let me say this again, I mean, you guys have a lot of experience, but fixing a borewell goes way, way, way ahead as far as impact is concerned, because water is the most primary need of human being. And it's not just, again, mainstream media organizations or other ICTD organization, but it also sort of increases the accountability of the government. So these are some of the numbers of official numbers of malaria deaths in Chhattisgarh. And 2009 was when CGNets were started. And a lot of people started reporting about malaria deaths which was caused because of malaria. And then we saw that the official government figures were substantially increased from the previous years because government had to own up the responsibility. So there have been a lot of impact stories, and these are impact stories which are reported to people by themselves. We don't go and ask them whether an impact is created or not, but there are more than 200 impact stories which have impacted various domains like food, in terms of good execution of midday meals, education, how to fix dysfunctional schools, labor, how to make sure that people get their due NREGA payments, and how to fix broken hand pumps. And on the right hand, your left hand side or your right hand side, you can see the map of India, and these are the regions where these stories have been reported. So in order to generate awareness, we actually also took necessary care so as to publicize the effort. So there are a lot of Swara Yatra, a team of volunteers who actually travel on the road from one village to another village throughout a week and do a lot of nukkad nataks and puppet shows so as to generate awareness about people that if they have any issue, if they have any grievances, then they can call CGNet SWR. In addition, we also run a lot of workshops where we teach people how they have to use a mobile phone, how they can call CGNet SWR number, how they can report stories, and how they can listen to the stories which are reported by others. And it's not just grievances or news items, but CGNet SWR has also been used by people for exchange of cultural content where they are generating songs, jokes, poems, and sharing it with one another. I don't think audio is there.